I should have said Grayson. Okay. So the stream is over soon, although of course we'll be back tomorrow again. But I do want to see if we can get little Grayson no thank you. See if we can build something for little Grayson. Let's see, we are going to need a central strut right up here. And little girder segments. Because what we need to do, it would have been better had it been adequately centralized. What we are going to need to do is drop this from orbit, or I'll drop this near a landing site, and be able to pilot it down. Now this is where tweak scale comes in handy. There we go. This is why some people consider tweak scale cheating. I'm okay with it. I am fine with it. I hope you are too. There we go. So, where do we place the fuel? Maybe we should have made that the center thing here. Actually, that makes perfect sense to make that the center thing. There we go. That is fuel. Thank you for that follow. And let's see. Oh, different radial, please. Okay, you are freaking out with the radials, aren't you? It does not know how to treat radials here. Fine, we'll place this here. And place this here. All of these belong together. Gives it a 0.96 thrust to weight, not enough to lift off Kerbal. But, well, on the Mun, it will have 5 thrust to weight and 768 delta phi. So this baby, this freak of nature, can land on the Mun. And when we land, we can blast this. Those can control where we land. And then I'll throttle it up, decouple, and this one will fall, and that will shoot up into the sky. I have little Dick Grayson. I have no idea what you're talking about with the neck broken then. Okay, I think this is good. Now with the major challenge, can we fit this into a fairing? Yes! Yes, yes! This is going to be the weirdest fairing around. Actually, wouldn't it? No, I was thinking maybe we could turn it on its side so its profile would be smaller, but it would still be something weird like this. Oh god, no! What have I done? Kerbal doesn't know what to do when you do things like this. No! Done all this effort. All this effort. Okay, I know how to fix this. And I know how to fix this well enough. dump this right now. We'll pick this up, rerotate this, and route this part now to the central part. There. No more of these weird shenanigans. Okay. Let's put this back into a fairing. And let's get this baby. Wait, what? Let's not start those right away. There we go. These are all for the mun. So, from the surface of Kerbin to the surface of the mun, according to this website, the Delta V planner that I'm using takes 6,000 Delta V. So this baby, and by the way, start thinking of a name for this, needs 6,000 Delta V. Now we know that the wait. Let's see, that a swivel like this gets us about 3,780. Wait, what? Oh, it does have 700. Okay, good. I was wondering why it suddenly had 171 here. Now, let's make sure we put this to Kerbin. This is very important because this calculates your thrust to weight and your delta V in a vacuum. So put it to Kerbin, and in atmosphere, at no altitude, we have a thrust to weight ratio of 1.5 at about 3,000 delta V. That's pretty good. But we're gonna need some serious boosting to get us up as far as we can, because this engine, I'll show you in a minute, is more efficient. Wait, different rotation please. Is more efficient in a vacuum. Oh, I have this weird bug where you can see that cubic octagonal strut is visible non-stop, which means I also can't right-click this. But you can see this one has engine ISP, specific impulse, of 320 in a vacuum. This one had 310 in a vacuum. This one has, where is it now? 345. So actually, let's see how well we do with this little engine. Gets us 2,663 delta V, assuming we are in a vacuum, see? In the vacuum, 2,663, that's 70 kilometers. We have 1.67 thrust to weight. If we'd be trying to lift off, we'd have 0.4 and 656 delta V. We would not be able to get off the ground. So this 2,000 is enough to get us from low orbit to surface of the mun, because we only need 1930 for that. So 2,600 is enough to go from low orbit to surface. So all we need now is to go from surface to low orbit, which takes 4,000 delta V. You're not seeing any stat update because it said that this engine fires after it's been detached. So this engine moves to that. Hey, Jack says, you're here, we can start now. Oh, okay, good, because the rest was all just preparation until you were here. So this is basically how you design these things. You want to have several phases. This is the transfer phase, basically, the intercept phase, the stage. This is meant to get us from Kerbin to the mun, and we know how many delta V's we need and how many are in there, so this one's okay. Thank you for that follow. We know that this has more than enough delta V to land, because from low orbit to the surface takes 640 meters per second, and this one has way more than that. This one had 700 or so. So this gets us to land, this gets us to the intercept, this stage should get us into Kerbal orbit, which needs 4,000, so we are 2,000 short. Now, here's the thing we can do to try and remedy that situation. Now, I'm gonna put 2 canisters on here, and rather than use the swivel, I'm gonna use the Reliant. And again, if you remember, the swivel had the higher ISP in vacuum, 320, and the but look at the ASL, the atmosphere at surface level, 250. The Reliant, though, has an at surface level ISP of 265, so this one's better at the surface. That's why it has 1,000 already. We recover the rover as well? No, Jexes, this is a non-recoverable mission. We are leaving that rover on the surface of the Mun. There we go. There's actually an advantage to leaving rovers on the surface. You're going to get missions to do things with them. To go to places, to investigate new sites. So we need 4,080 to get to Kerbal orbit. We have 4,037. So that's a bit of a downer, but we are also going to have to add these. So look at this weight. This is 0.03 ton. Remember, 4.037. Add 2, 033. Add 2 more. 30. Every single thing you add will cause you to basically have less efficiency. Now I'm moving this engine from its separate stage where we got 6,693. I'm moving it to this stage. Notice that this is going down. We have less delta V, but I am going to do something interesting here. That is considered to be a little bit lame, I think. If I read post somehow. Oh wait, we can't do that yet. Arg! I do not have the science to do that. Never mind. I was going to be a very clever Clogs and do some asparagus staging. Yet that doesn't help me. I cannot do that because I don't have fuel lines. In that case, we're going to need to add a little bit. Maybe it's worthwhile forgetting about liquid fuel boosters in that case. And adding solid fuel boosters. Now, these don't increase right now because they are being detached as soon as they fire. So this gets us less delta V. That's weird. Is rover autonomous or remote controlled? Remote controlled. That's why we need to make sure we have enough connection on the rover and to the rover as well. So we have these little antennae to make sure that we can still steer it. Unfortunately, there are no autonomous rovers. You can turn that on. I specifically turned it off. If I remember correctly, the Kerbals are just along for the ride anyways. Yes, their death is optional. Can you build a self-sustaining, maintaining Mun base? Yes. Jex is saying no, but yes, you can build it in standard Kerbal. That's not possible. So Jex is right there. You can have a very efficient one. Yes and no. In standard Kerbal, you can just land a crew pod on the surface of the Mun, and that's it. The crew won't die. There's no life support, so you can just leave them there. There's no life support in the game. Now that I have these mods, there is life support in the game, so that will matter. But I also have the colonization mods installed, so you can actually now make a self-sustaining base. These things are less efficient than actually the liquid engines. That is curious. These fire, detach that, that's all correct. So if I add these, get 4030. See, so the solid rocket boosters, we are losing delta V because we're bringing more mass than we're effectively using. That's why these are more efficient. Also, their ISPs will probably be different. See, these have an ISP of 175 at surface level, whereas where is it? These have 265, so that's why we're more efficient with them. We just need a teeny bit more fuel. There we go, that gets us all the fuel we need. Always pack exactly what you need to get where you need to go. If you pack more, then you're basically lifting up useless weight. So, this is the... as we dubbed it before, the Junior Exploration of Science. The JXS-1 Dick Grayson. This is the first in our lunar mission. Do we have a good flag for that? Orbs? I want a special flag for our lunar missions. Oh, we can do this for the missions that we take. That's cool. Kerbal Factorio crossover, that would be amazing. Ah, surveys, tourism, you can mark them all individually. I had not noticed that. NASA, cool. Nothing specifically... Oh, this is very Jexus. This is very Jexus. Except... okay, let's make sure we include communication. Again, look at the delta V drop, just because we're adding an antenna. Boom. One antenna, a little bit of delta V drop. Okay, now when we're done, double check, double check. These are firing, and they're being released. When they're being released, at that same time, I want this engine to go on. Once we're done with the ascent, this brings us into orbit. We want to let go and let this stage take us to the intercept. During that stage, we can also already open the bay here. When we release the MUN, we can start these engines and do a descent. When we're done, we release that, and we are set up on the MUN. I think we're good. That's the scans. Explore the MUN and rover deployment. Check. Ah, power. Just to be on the safe side, while we're in space, while we're going to the MUN, we want to have power. Do we still have the delta V? We still have the delta V. Check the parts, see if there's anything missing, because remember, we cannot revert. We don't need any life support. We don't need any lights. We could maybe use lights. Let's say we land on the dark side of the MUN, which we shouldn't. We're not going to. Don't need any lights for the landing. We have all the signs on there. We have communication on here. We have electricity on here. We don't need any thermal shielding. Landing gear. I doubt we need to support this. Let's just see. Control might be handy. Okay, we're going to put some balls on this thing. Get a little bit of control in here. Nope. That prevents us from getting into orbit. We're just gonna wing it. We'll be fine. Can you bring communications relay satellite in Mun orbit first to help with comms? I do have a relay satellite in orbit of the Mun, in a polar orbit. If you remember, that is the satellite that's currently doing the low resolution scanning. Haha. Okay, I think we're good. You know what? We're already over time. I'm gonna launch this thing. The only thing that Grace and Easy says is life support. Nice. Harsh and nice. Okay. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have liftoff. Angle it to the side. Now our goal is to get up out of the atmosphere as swiftly as possible. And I'm realizing this is very loud, these rockets. No. Stay under control. Stay under control. Relax. Oh, no. Oh, God, no. Oh, no. No. Oh, God. Oh, God. We're doing fine. Oh, God. Oh, God. Kerbal, what are you doing to me? Oh, God. Totally planned. We're okay. Okay. Whew. Less than ideal. I'll say that. Good thing we didn't risk any Kerbal lives in this. Oh, God. So, I think it's safe to say that we're on the suboptimal route to orbit. Sounds like I'm playing Dark Souls. In a way. By the way, how is my voice compared to the rocket? Can you even hear me adequately enough? This is where you figure out you didn't bring enough Delta V. You should have been here for the calculation of the Delta V, Jexus. It's actually fairly easy if you know how to stage it up correctly. Basically though, this thing might not make it to orbit because of our failed ascent. Because right now we're still burning in atmosphere, and that is a giant waste. So we're gonna throttle down and speed up. Our apoapsis is gonna drop because we're still in atmosphere, and this thing is a little bit weird, not very aerodynamic. So we're hoping that the remaining 20 seconds is gonna be able to push us into a reasonable orbit, which it isn't. I blasted a little bit because that gives us a gimbal and a little bit of a turn possible. Now we're 8 seconds away from apoapsis. We're not going to circularize with this. Basically we needed a good ascent. We didn't need that weird little jumble. Try our best, though, to see what we have. We're already lowering. I we have enough on the lander section to get there. But this thing doesn't have the thrust-to-weight ratio to really push us forward enough. So this is where the mission succeeds or fails. But already we're losing more Delta V than we should. We're losing far more Delta V than we should actually, because this stage was never meant to push us into orbit. Okay, so we are ascending right now. Let's see if we can get as much advantage from this as we can. Set as target. If we can just blast on in one go. Add a maneuver there. Need a little bit more to the right, I think. And we're gonna focus view. See what we can change. Let's go a little bit quicker. There, that's good. That needs 858. And right now, in this stage, we have 1700 still left. So let's, for now, let's... oh yeah, we didn't bring RCS. Let's blast open the door. Make sure we deploy our solar panels so we don't get any trouble losing connection to this craft. Whew. You've been on suboptimal route to orbit your entire life? Aw. The rocket is quite loud. Yeah, I figured. Plan on rewatching the VOD. Cool, thank you. By the way, you bought Captain Sonar, a board game where the 2 teams of 4 players play the crew of submarines and try to kill each other. It's like an advanced, more awesome version of Battleship. Huh, that sounds cool. Oh, I heard on the co-optional podcast that apparently Scythe is actually a legal DLC purchase in Tabletop Simulator. Okay, with RCS we would have been able to turn this thing more easily, but as you could see, we would lose out on Delta V. And had we had the RCS up, the extra weight would have cost us more Delta V of this stage and would have ruined the intercept. Because right now, if you have to imagine, we have 858, so 860. We need that to accelerate to the Mun. Imagine that we also needed a reasonably equal amount to slow us down to get us in orbit of the Mun. So let's say 1700. Then we have 294 meters per second left. And that's just guessing, roughly. So imagine if things have gone a little bit more wrong, if we need some more Delta V. Imagine if something goes wrong on the Mun, we would need more Delta V. So that RCS, the choice of maybe adding the RCS to get us a little swifter control right here, could have ruined the mission. That's basically how specific you have to be in trying to figure out how I'm going to build my rocket. That's why my advice is always minimal as possible. Think literally in stages. When you build the first thing, think, this thing's going to be landing on the Mun. Set Kerbal Engineer to the Mun physics, look up the Delta V, how much do you need to get from a low orbit of the Mun to the surface of the Mun. And then you figured out that bit, try and make that work just right, have just enough Delta V for what it is that you want to do. Maybe even, oh, there we go. Maybe even return. And then the next bit, all you need to figure out then is, how do I get enough Delta V to get from Kerbal orbit to Mun orbit? And then again, last stage, how do I get from Kerbal surface to Kerbal orbit? Step by step. And always use just basically the smallest thing you can get, the highest impulse that you can get, because that saves you the most Delta V. Okay. Need to adjust to make sure we keep hitting our target the way we want to. This is again the downside of not having any Delta V. I'm throttling down. There we go. Just want to very carefully adjust this periapsis. We want this to be as low as